This podcast is brought to you by Glitterati Communications. Learn more about Glitterati at bglitterati.com. What's up? My name is Dwayne Jones. I'm an artist and a designer and the founder of a lifestyle brand called Art Pays Me. And this is the Art Pays Me podcast. I love talking to creative people about their business, their successes, their challenges, and how they make the world a better place with their work. Let's get into it. Welcome to a special series of Art Pays Me interviews with the winners of the 2023 Creative Nova Scotia Awards. Presented by Arts Nova Scotia and the Creative Nova Scotia Leadership Council, the Creative Nova Scotia Awards celebrate excellence in artistic achievement. The award categories are as follows: Creative Community Impact, Prix Grand Prix, Established Artist, Emerging Artist, Black Artist, Indigenous Artist, and finally the Portia White Prize that is given to a person who has made outstanding and significant contributions to Nova Scotia's creative community over a sustained career, much like the incredible woman that the award is named after. The winner will also choose an emerging artist or cultural organization that they feel deserve some additional recognition and let's be real, some bread, some extra funding, because money is what enables us to do what we do. Collectively, the awards are worth $75,000. Visit artsns.ca to nominate your favorite Nova Scotia artist, or be a boss and nominate yourself. We artists got to start, looking out for number one. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's going to take care of us if we don't take care of ourselves, right? It's okay. Anyway, this series, it would not be possible without the fantastic production work of Heist and Kiki Beats. Shout out to them once again. Nice to meet you. I feel like we met a long time ago. You said you recognized me and I recognized you. I can't place where we met, however, but it is good to see you again. But for the sake of our show, can you state your name and your pronouns, please?
Yes, my name is Juanita Peters, she, her.
And what's your artistic medium?
It depends on who you ask. I started in journalism.
Yeah.
I work in film as well. And I also love playwriting. So I work as a playwright and as a director. And I just like story. And however it comes, I like sort of experimenting with what's the best way to communicate this story.
Interesting. So you started out in your career anyway in journalism, but like as a youngster, were you acting out things or performing or anything like that?
I started recording voices when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
First tape recorder I got as a Christmas gift. And those voices sort of gave me ideas about funny little skits, as we called them then. Mm-hmm. And I used to get all my family members involved, right? So I'd build characters, and sometimes it would just be me and my sister, sometimes me and my cousins, but I love characters, and I love story, and I love playing around with things and seeing what reaction I'd get from people.
Right. That's interesting. Would you say that the reaction in terms of journalism, there's a lot of discourse lately about journalism and journalists. Do you find the reaction as satisfying when you're doing journalism?
I think journalism is a different thing. Journalism, you really have to be accurate.
Yeah.
Which is very different from writing a play. Or various other things that I do, because you can play with reality when you're doing something fictional. But journalism, you have to be very careful because you're dealing with real people and real lives and real stories, and it's important to make sure that you're telling that story in a way that it makes people either want to get involved or know more about it, or at least ask more questions about it.
Got you. Okay. It's making me think. So I do design and I'm also an artist. So I find myself having to jump between those two worlds sometimes too, because as much as I want to mash them together, they do kind of require a different way of thinking when presenting to the audience. So that's interesting, actually, thinking about it that way.
Yeah, when you know, you're right, because so as an artist, and you'll know this, you have to wear so many different hats. If you're lucky, you might be an artist for hire, and all you have to do is go in and write. Most of the times, we have to be more than that. So when I'm putting my budget hat on, or my finance hat, that's all I can do. I really only concentrate on that. And then it takes me a minute to get back to the creative juices. Yeah. Right? I have to have the right space. I have to have time to get into it. And then I'm there. And I get very upset when people knock me out of that room.
I hear you. Oh, man. So is there a moment or person that you can think of that sort of guided you to like doing stuff in the arts?
I could name so many people who have supported me in the arts, who have mentored me in the arts, who have opened doors for me. And they're usually not the people you think, you know. They're, and I wouldn't want to name one particular person because I wouldn't want to offend or forget anybody. But because I've had such great people around me, I always remember, you know, to always bring one or two people in and put them alongside people who are more experienced, because then the learning becomes easy, you know, without feeling like you're going to have a test, or, you know, you're just watching how other people do their craft, right? Yeah. And it's much more enjoyable.
Right, right. So like you mentioned storytelling being something that you're really just interested in. Is there anything else that, say, is a driving force behind your work?
People.
People, okay.
People are a driving force behind my work. I was always just so interested in what excited people, what upset people, what bothered people, how did people deal with those things? And so that becomes the backdrop, you know, of all the stories that I've ever told. I remember someone one time saying that everybody only has one story to tell. And I thought, that is the silliest thing I ever heard. I thought, I got at least a dozen right now. But what they really meant was, often people are coming from, you're telling the same story, just in different ways. Yeah. And so if you look at everything I've written, if you look at all the films that I've done, they really do have one common thread. And the common thread is how different we are, and yet how very much alike we are.
Interesting.
So it's very common. It just looks different.
So, I mean, you're an actor as well. So does that translate into the roles you go for?
I became an actor out of necessity.
Okay.
I became an actor because I had stories I wanted to tell. And in order to get those stories to where they needed to be, or to make other people even feel more comfortable in trying out those roles, I had to do them first.
Interesting.
And it just led to a bunch of things. The first acting role I did, and I didn't even think of it as acting at the time, I was doing a one-woman show. It was actually a one-woman who played many different characters, including male and a dog. And the reason I was doing that at the time was because my family had moved on. My sister she now lived away. My cousins who were older were no longer in the area. And so I had to find out how to mount this little piece by myself. So I had to take on all those roles. And someone was there who was a commercial writer. Yeah. And they asked me if I would try out for this commercial. It was a national Burger King commercial. I was too young to know how significant that was at the time. And I was asked to read for the mother, a mother, a grandfather, a 5-year-old child, and a dog. And I got the role of the 5-year-old child, and I still remember the line, cheese on mine. That's all it was. And who knew I got paid right there on the spot, $25. In those days, $25 was worth a blazer or two.
Right, right.
And then you got royalties every time that commercial played. So every 4 months, I got this check in the mail, and I was like hooked. I was like, who knew people got paid to have fun?
Right. Yeah. Why not? Right. Okay. So yeah, that's like it's a light bulb moment of like what's possible out there.
And it was fun.
Yeah,
right?
It was fun. Yeah.
I didn't even think of it as, you know, people said, were you nervous? I really wasn't, because I didn't expect that it was going to be that big of a deal.
Right.
So I just went in, I had fun. And people often ask today, like, are you nervous when you're doing a show? So if I'm in the theater, absolutely. I still get those butterflies, but I love it. I used to be afraid of them. Now I love those butterflies.
Reminds you you're alive, you're living.
Yeah, it means that you're about to do something exciting, something fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are there any routines or essential ingredients to your creative practice that you do?
One of the things I have to do when I'm writing is I really have to have a clear space, which is funny because I'm very messy. But I can't be looking at other stuff that might distract me.
Okay.
So I just have to have a clear space, and I have to have time. The first day or two for me if I'm trying to create something, I may not write a thing. Or I might write 2 or 3 lines that I never use, or maybe I use 1 sentence out of something. But I just need the space to sort of climatize and think about the world that I'm trying to create. And sometimes it does take me time. It takes me time to get to that space.
Yeah. Do you ever, so I think I used to agonize about that when I was younger. And now I've come to appreciate that too, where I know I need that time to do nothing. Just, is that something that it took a while for you to come to?
Yeah, I would get very frustrated with myself because I came from the world of journalism where when I began, we were doing a broadcast every 15 minutes on radio. Top of the hour, quarter past the hour, bottom of the hour, quarter to the hour, you know, and the copy had to be different each time. So you could be telling the same story, but your lead-in lines had to be different, you know, so you had to make sure you got all the information in there. So I was so used to having to pump out so much stuff in the run of a day that I felt that I was actually crippled when I actually had to come and write those longer pieces. I thought, what's wrong with me? But it really is, you have to give yourself time to find that world. And even one of the things that I would do is if I found even 1 line, I'd say, okay, what's really important? What do I need to make sure that the audience knows about this story? And I would write that 1 line. They have to know that he lost his mother when he was 7.
Right.
They have to know that he is scared of chickens, you know, whatever it is. And you just paste them on the wall, and then I start filling in around them. Where does this show up, right? And then sometimes it's like a puzzle. I take this from here and put it over there, and what makes the story flow? What makes it important? What makes people want to know more about this story or this person?
Yeah, and it's those little space, those interesting things that happen in between the big ones that create that. Interesting. So we talked earlier, you're from New Brunswick originally. How does living and creating in Nova Scotia impact your work?
So I was born in New Brunswick, but my family's from Nova Scotia.
Okay.
My father is originally from Annapolis Royal and St. John, New Brunswick. And my mother is originally from Weymouth Falls, Nova Scotia. I spent the years of the age of 2 to 12 living in Toronto, but every summer I was in Weymouth Falls, Nova Scotia. And when I moved to Weymouth Falls from Toronto, people said, it must have been terrible. And I said, no, it was freedom. Because in Toronto, my mom was very nervous, about us going certain places. But when we moved to Weymouth Falls, everybody was family. So we could walk up and down the road. Right. And that's where I think my ear really caught the different sounds of voices. Because I had more time to spend with people. And I would hear someone talking coming up the road, oh, that's Aunt Gloria. Here comes Uncle Manny, here comes, and the voices were very colorful. I loved coming to Nova Scotia. I really would say that Nova Scotia and my experience in Weymouth Falls in particular really helped me cultivate, storytelling. And I go back to it. In all my stories, you'll find some Weymouth Falls names. You'll find Cromwell, Langford, Jarvis. You'll find situations that were unique to the people of Weymouth Falls, Digby, Yarmouth.
I love Easter eggs. So it's one of those things that I'm gonna look for that more in your work, actually. So what does this award mean to you?
Wow. This award means so much to me because, first of all, for the person that it's named after, Portia White, who, against all odds, just, made a name, internationally. And I want to say, the relationship that this award has had to other artists is also so unique. Because it gives people an opportunity to continue the arts. For me personally, what I love the most about this is that I could name a protege.
Yes.
Right? If we do not bring or help bring other people up and help assist them, then it all dies with us, And so to see another young artist be able to benefit from this, it's just, for me, that's the joy. That is the joy.
Yeah, that is a very amazing aspect of this particular award, actually, that you can give back in a way. So if there's anything that we've missed, is there something else you'd like to share about your work and your creative process?
I'd like to say that for me, when I'm telling African Nova Scotian stories, whether truth or fiction, I hear the voices of my ancestors. And when I say my ancestors, I grew up around my great uncles and aunts. I do hear their voices. I hear how they would laugh. I hear how they would respond to certain things. And I spend, even though I'm in a room by myself, I have a lot of fun in there because they're in there with me.
Love it. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, Juanita.
Thank you.
Make sure you go to artsns.ca to nominate yourself or nominate your favorite Nova Scotia-based artist. But you can nominate yourself too, right? Cool. Check me out at artpaysme.com. Peace.